Okay guys, let's get started on wrapping the cover for this album. So the chipboard you're going to need is 2 pieces that measure 6 by 6.5. And then for the spine, you're going to need a piece that measures 3 by 6. All right, so let's get started with the 6 by 6.5 inch piece. So I'm just using my Fabri-Tac here. And I'm gluing it onto my lightweight cardstock here, and the cardstock measures 8 by 9. And you're just going to place it in there so that you're leaving an inch border all the way around. And I am using the woven cardstock from Michaels. I'm not sure how long they've been carrying it. I just recently found out about it, but I really love it for wrapping albums. So I'm just going to glue this piece while the other one gets a chance to dry. So this is my spine piece, and the spine piece is going to go onto a piece that measures 8 by 6, and you're going to put it on so that you have a an inch top and bottom, and then 1.5 inches on the sides here. Make sure that's nice and glued down. Now we'll grab the other piece back in, and we're gonna just fold our cardstock over top of the chipboard, making sure to get a nice tight crease, just like this. It just doesn't crack. This cardstock is really nice. I'm really enjoying it. All right, so now we're just going to cut out our corners, and you can see that by folding there are these 4 kind of squares in each corner. You're just going to basically cut those off like this. Just cut diagonally across, and you're going to leave a little bit of space between your chipboard and your cardstock, so that it covers your corners when we wrap. Easy peasy. Just like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab my glue, and I'm going to run some glue right along the chipboard and then up on my flap, just like this. And then we'll fold over. And don't worry if glue comes out, that's completely fine. The art glitter glue does dry clear, but if you have one that doesn't, most of this will be covered anyways. So just go ahead and glue down your other 3 flaps. Right, so you're going to want to go ahead and wrap your other piece of chipboard the exact same way. And now we're going to do our spine. So the first thing we need to do for the spine is to fold over the little 1-inch flaps on the top and the bottom, and give them a good burnish, just like this. And then we're going to add glue, so right along the chipboard and all over in this top rectangle. And then I like to go down the sides just a touch, just to get those nice crisp edges, and fold it over. And then I like to do the center first, where my chipboard is, then just kind of slide it down the sides like that. And same thing over here. Slide it down and make sure you have a nice tight seal between your chipboard and your cardstock there. And same thing on this side, add your glue And then a little bit on the sides here. And fold that over. Again, just do the center and then come down those sides and out. Same thing over here, do the center and then out. I really am enjoying this wrapping method. I think it really delivers a nice clean look. All right, so now I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut from here to this. So from my spine to where the folded over cardstock ends, but I'm not going to go right to the spine. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch, between 1/8 and 1/16 away. So there's just this tiny little section there. That just helps it to wrap a little bit nicer. And then, so just like that. All right, now we can go ahead and fold these side flaps over top of our chipboard. Really nice and snug. Like that. And now we're going to add tape to the backs of these flaps. We're going to go about 1/8 of an inch away from that chipboard underneath. And you're going to go just beyond your flap so that we have full coverage on the flap, and then we can always just cut off the excess. All right, now we can go ahead and burnish that on, just like this. All right, and you did see I had to switch to my 1/4 inch tape there because I ran out of my 3/8 in the process. So I'm going to grab one of my covers back in, and this is going to get attached to the 6-inch side, not the 6.5 inch side. So I'm just first going to take off just one of my layers or one of my backings from my score tape. And I'm going to line this edge up with this edge here on the 6-inch side. Just like this. All right, and now we can open it up and just grab our other 2 backings, and then we will just burnish this down just like that. And now let's attach this side. So again, just along that 6-inch side, and I'm going to go ahead and remove one of my backings and line it up, press that down, and then we can open it up and remove our backings. You can always remove all your backings at once if you'd like to. I just feel like if anything should happen, then I have a little bit more chance of getting it off if I don't have all my backings on. Burnish that down. Okay, and then that's the cover. Now let's add the little piece to cover the inside here. So that piece just measures 6 by 5 3/4, and I've already covered the back in score tape. So I'm just going to remove all of these backings. And now we're going to attach it down so the 5 3/4 inch side is running up and down. leaving about 1/8 of an inch of space, top and bottom. And try to make sure it's even because that's the height of your pages. So we want to be sure that it's even so our pages aren't uneven in the book. All right, and then just bring that up like this. And same thing on this side. All right, and that finishes the cute little cover. So our little album is going to have 3 basic page styles, and we are going to do each of them twice. So what I will be referring to as page style A is this cute little faux envelope. So it has the top that comes open, and it has have a magnetic closure, and then this flap comes out and there's the pocket in here. So this is page style A. Page style B is a cute little waterfall page with also a pocket on the side. And then page style C has a pocket here and 2 pockets here, and then a flap that opens with also a magnetic closure. All right, so I'm gonna start with page style A, and I'm gonna just do it on the back of page style C. You can mix yours up however you want, but I'm gonna do it on the back of page style C. So your base pages are gonna measure 6 3/4 by 5 3/4, and on the 6 3/4 inch side, you're gonna score 3/4 of an inch and at 1.5, and that's gonna give you 2. This is gonna go down into your book, and it's gonna give you a nice, generous 1/2 inch gusset, or sorry, 3/4 inch gusset, so that all of our pages lay really nice and flat. So this is the front. You wanna be aware because we are doing the pages outside the book, so you want to be aware of orientation. So this is the front of this page, and we know our pocket opens to this side, so I'm going to make sure that our flaps or our connection pieces are on this side, so we kind of know where we're at. So the first thing we need to do is put a nice big pocket on here, and it's actually going to go so the opening is to this side. So the pocket measures 6 3/4 by 5, and on the 6 3/4 inch side, you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides, and on the 5 inch side, you're going to score 1/2 inch just at the bottom. And now we're going to grab our scissors, and where our score lines meet here, there's a little square. We're basically going to cut that square right off, but don't go above where they meet, because then your pocket will look wonky at the bottom. So just like this, and then we will go ahead and grab the bone folder and give those some nice creases. Get them nice and burnished down. And I am using all 110-pound cardstock for these pages right now, but that will all be in the cut list, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is make sure this is burnished really well, so that it's easy for me to put on. And I'm going to put my glue on this bottom flap, just like this. I'm going to turn my page so it's easier for me, and I'm going to put it towards the bottom, and I'm going to leave about a 1/16 to 1/18 of an inch of, or sorry, 1/8 of an inch of space between where the pocket starts and where it folds up here, because you don't want it too close, because then it won't fold up nicely. Let's give that a good burnish down, just like that. And you can open it up as well and burnish it. And then we'll put our glue on these flaps as well, like that, and fold them down. And then again, just burnish that on really nicely. Just like that, okay? So now on the bottom of the pocket here, there's going to be a flap. So the flap measures 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and on the 4 3/4 side, you're gonna score 1/2 inch so that you have a 4 1/4 flap here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and miter my corners like that. Make sure my fold is nice and tight. And then add my glue on there, just like that. And then this little flap is gonna go right on top of this pocket all the way to the back and all the way side to side. And there's gonna be about 1/4 inch of space right here. That is what we want. All right, and just burnish that down nicely, just like that. All right, so for our faux envelope top here, you're gonna need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. So 4 1/4 going this way by 5 3/4, and then on the 4 1/4 inch side, you're just gonna score 1/2 inch. And then from the bottom up, you're gonna mark 2 inches on both sides. So you're gonna take your ruler and mark your 2 inch marks. And then you're also gonna mark your center mark, which is 2 7/8. So just put a little tick mark there. And then I'm gonna grab my paper trimmer. You could also do this with a scissor, just cut across, or you could do it with a, you know, your craft knife and your metal ruler. But I just find this just as easy to just grab my cutter. All right, and then this piece is gonna go up onto this little section right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and miter these corners as well, just like this. All right, and now we're gonna burnish it one more time. So we get a nice clean burnish, and then add the glue all over that flap. And then it's just gonna go all the way to both sides and all the way to the top here. Make sure it's not standing over anywhere. And then we can open it up and give that a nice burnish down, like so. And then we can grab our magnets. So we are going to get a negative and a plus. These are the basic gray magnets I like to use, but you can use any magnets you have. I just like that these already have the adhesive on them, and they are a really nice strong magnet. And I'm just gonna put one about right there and bring that over. All right, so that one is done. Really, really cute. We can erase all of this so it doesn't end up on our finished page. This will all be covered, so I'm not worried about it, but just anything that you might see, any of your marks, you want to remove those. All right, so let's work on page style B. And I am going to go ahead and do it on the back of page style A. So the first thing we need to do is add the large pocket, and it is again gonna go towards the back fold here. So the large pocket again measures 6 3/4 by 5, and on the 6 3/4 inch side, you're gonna score 1/2 inch on both sides. And then along the 5 inch side, you're just gonna score 1/2 inch across the bottom. And we are again just gonna cut out that corner and then do our burnishing. Get our nice flat burnish, just like so. And then we'll burnish from the front, just like that. The flatter they are, the easier I find it is to add my glue, or to get them to glue down properly. So just add the glue along here And then I'm just gonna move it so it's easier for me. And again, place it down, leaving just a little bit of space between my spine and my pockets, or my score line here, I should say. And then we can open it up and give it a nice burnish. And then we'll add our glue to these flaps. Like that. And then fold this over and burnish so that it's nice and adhered on there. All right, now we're gonna start with our waterfall. So our waterfall pieces are the same size as our pockets, the width. So they measure 4 inches by 4.5. And on the 4-inch side, you're gonna score it 1/2 inch. Okay, so they measure 4 by 4.5, and on the 4-inch side, you're gonna score at 1/2 inch. Okay, and you're gonna do that for all 5 of your pieces. Okay, so for our waterfall, we never miter. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that's a nice tight crease, and I'm gonna just kind of pre-line it up on here. It's gonna go all the way to the top and all the way to both sides, and I just wanna make sure that it's gonna line up nicely. So I'm adding my glue onto my flap, and it's gonna go directly onto that large pocket that we just did. So just place it on there, making sure it's even on both sides and nice and flush to the top. And then we can open it and burnish. And then again, my next flap, I am just gonna dry fit, and it's gonna go right here, right below that one, just like so. And I always like to close them to make sure they line up well. Just add my glue and put it down right along the previous one. Just like that. And adjust it if you need to, and then make sure you close the top. Make sure they're still lining up nicely. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and attach the other 3 the same way. So we've got them all attached, and I'm just burnishing so they kind of try to lay a little bit flatter. All right, so I'm going to use this little piece for the closure. So this piece measures 5 by 2, and on the 5-inch side, you're just gonna score your little 1/2-inch flap. And I'm just adding my glue to it. And now I'm gonna attach it right to the bottom here on top of our large pocket, just like that. And then open this up and make sure it's looking nice and straight on there. And then we can burnish it down, and then we can add our magnet for the closure. So again, we'll grab a negative and a positive and let them snap together and remove the backings. And then I will put it on my little flap here, right about there, and then bring it up and let it hold that in place, okay? All right, so on the back of page style B, I am going to do page style C. So again, we are going to start with our large pockets. and it is going to go again with the pocket opening out to here. So 6 3/4 by 5, score 1/2 inch on both sides of the 6 3/4 inch, and then 1/2 inch on the 5-inch side. And we will trim off those corners and burnish. So fold that over and then fold this one. My puppies are both in here with me, so if you hear any squeaky toy noises, that's them. Okay, and then again we'll burnish on the outside as well so it's nice and flat. And then add our glue to this flap, just like so, and attach it again, leaving just that little bit of space right there. Just like that, and we'll burnish it down and add our glue to these flaps, just like that, and then burnish those on like this. All right, so that is our large pocket attached. So for the flap that goes on top of the large pocket, it measures 4 1/2 by 5 3/4, and on the 4 1/2 inch side, you're just going to score 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to fold that, and I think I'm going to attach my little pockets to this before I attach it to the page. All right, so the pockets are going to be opposite this flap. So they are going to go on like this. So the flap is here and the opening of our pocket will be at the top of our pockets. So these measure 4 by 3 3/4, and on the 3 3/4 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on both sides. And on the 4-inch side, you're just going to score at 1/2 inch along the bottom. And we're just going to trim across there and there and burnish these. And I'll do both. I'll get them both ready before we start. So get them nice and burnished. Like that. All right, that's one ready to go, and then we'll do the same thing for the other one. So remember, these pockets are the same size. And to burnish. Like so. And then up here as well. All right, so they're going to get attached kind of centered, not centered, but with a little bit of space around the two sides here. They're going to get attached so that there's a little bit of space in the middle and a little bit of space all around them. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the first one first. And so our flap that's going to get attached to the book is here, and our opening is going to be over here. So just get that in there so that there's a little bit of space between here and here. Try to get them nice and straight, and then we'll burnish that down. And then our other little sides here. And bring that down. that. Give it a good burnish. And I'm gonna erase my measurements before I put the other one down. All right, now this one will go right here like this. So there will be a little bit of space at the bottom and the side and in the middle, just a tiny bit. And then we can go ahead and add our glue there and just kind of place it where we want it and press down. And then get our side flaps, just like that. And then we'll burnish that down. All right, and now let's miter the corners of our flap. And it is going to get attached along the back of the pocket here. So I will quickly burnish it so it's nice and flat for me to do that. And add my glue. Along that flap. And then just attach it right on top of the pocket all the way to the back and side to side, just like this. All right, I'm gonna grab my magnets. So again, just a negative and a positive, and then let them snap together. And then we'll just put it right about there on the flap and close that down like that. All right, so that is our base pages complete. So you're just gonna go ahead and repeat these 3 pages once more each, and then you'll have your base pages done, and then we'll be ready to put them into the book. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach our pages into the book. I'm just gonna trim off my excess here. So I attached 1 piece of my 3/8 tape, and then 1 piece of the the 1/4 inch, because I didn't have anything larger, and we do have a 3/4 inch flap there first. And I'm gonna line it up back here along my spine here at the back, and I'm not going to go over this line here, the bending line from the cover. I'm just going to line it up right along there. So just like this. And then I'll go ahead and remove the rest of the backing under here. A little 1/4 inch bit. Like that. And then put that down, and before I move on, I'm going to make sure it's still bending nicely here. So we're all good there, and then we'll go ahead and attach the next one. So again, I'm just going to remove the 3/4 inch, and this one's going to be easier to line up because we've already got our first one on. So just butt it up against that one, against the previous one. Like that. And then again, we'll remove just like so. And then we can burnish that down like that. All right, and then the last one we'll attach the same way. So again, remove the larger backing and just lay it down, butt it up against that previous one, And then we can remove the other little backing. Just like that. And that attaches our main pages into our book. Super cute. Okay guys, so the inside front and back cover are gonna have these really nice like boxes kind of thing. So these pieces are gonna come in first, and then this piece is gonna come up, and there's a magnetic closure with like a faux envelope. So I guess I would call it a faux envelope box, because it does have a 1/4 inch gusset, so you can fit a ton of pictures in here, and photo mats, and like little journaling cards, all kinds of stuff. I really like this. So we're gonna do the same thing in the front here. So the first thing we're gonna do is attach our piece to the bottom. So the flap that's gonna come up from the bottom measures 6.5 by 6 3/8. So it's 6.5 inches tall by 6 3/8 wide. And on the 6.5 inch side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 inch. And now we're just gonna add our glue to this flap here, and I'm gonna place it with that little border all the way around. So I'm gonna press down my gusset so I can see a little bit better. So just about that much space on the edge there. And then we can press this down, and then kind of just press that gusset back so it stands up. And then we can burnish it on the inside. All right, perfect. Okay, so for the flap that's gonna come down from the top, we have to cut in our little angle here. So this flap measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/8. And then what you're gonna do is with your ruler, you're gonna mark up 1 inch from here and 1 inch from here. So both bottom sides there. And then you're gonna find your center here, which is 3 3/16. So I know that sounds like a pretty wonky measurement, but that is the center. So how I found mine is, let's see how good we're seeing this here. So here's 3 inches, and then here is 3 1/8, and then there's 3 1/4. There's a line on my scoreboard that's like between the score grooves, and this line here, so this groove here between 3 1/8 and 3 1/4 is 3/16. And that's where I marked, okay? So it's basically between 3 1/8 and 3 1/4, okay? That is the best way I can explain it. All right, so now what we're gonna do is take our cutter, and we're going to align this tick mark in our center and this tick mark in our center, and just cut across. It's not a huge angle, just enough to do something a little bit decorative. So same thing on this side. Just like that. And then I found for some reason when I'm cutting at this angle, it sometimes leaves little fuzzies, so I just fixed that. All right, so now we can go ahead and attach this little flap into our album, and it's gonna go across the top here. So we're gonna put, first let's miter, just like this, and then we will put our glue on this flap. And we're gonna try our best to align it with the flap below. So first I'm gonna open it and press down, kind of where I want it. And then we can close this in and see how aligned we are. Kind of press that back. So I actually think this is pretty good. Okay, so we've got that flap attached. Now we are gonna attach our two little flaps on the side here. First, I'm gonna use my We Are Memory Keepers corner punch, the one that has the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch. And I am gonna use the 1/4 inch, and I am gonna just punch these little corners that are gonna be facing the inside of the pockets. Just like this, and then I'm gonna grab my scissors and I'm gonna miter those. And these measure 3 1/4 by 5 3/4, and on the 3 1/4 inch side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 inch for both of them. And I'm gonna lay them down so that my 1/4 inch gusset is up here. And I'm just gonna try and center them between my two flaps. There's gonna be a little bit of space at the top and the bottom. That's what I want, because I didn't want them to be tight up against each other. So I'm just going to try to leave a little bit of space up the flaps and make sure that my little gusset on this side isn't showing outside my flaps, and it isn't. So that's perfect. So now we're just gonna attach the other one to the other side. Again, we're just gonna miter those edges and then get our glue on here. Just like this. And I'm gonna kind of turn it to the side so I can see better. And then lay it right between those two. Same as the other side. Leaving a little bit of space, top and bottom, about there. And then I'll close it up and press back that gusset. And then again, I'm gonna close it up and make sure it's not standing over, and it is not, so that is perfect. So now let's add our little magnet for the closure. I'm gonna grab one positive and one negative and let those snap together, and then remove the backings like that, and then add it right here to the flap, and then we'll just close it up. And as you're closing it up, just make sure everything is nice and straight. All right, and I'm going to quickly show you guys how to mat these types of pages. Okay, so for this one here, I cut a piece that's 5 1/2 by 3 3/4 for right here. All right, so all I'm gonna do is grab a pen or a pencil. I usually prefer pencil so I can erase. And I'm gonna lay it on there, and I'm just gonna make a little mark. So I've got my 3 even black sides. I'm gonna make a mark here, and a mark here, and then a mark here, just like that. And then I'm gonna grab my cutter, and again, just like before, I'm gonna line up those little lines and cut, and same thing on this side, and cut. Okay, and then this is just gonna layer it right in here. Super sweet. Okay, and I would just glue that on. And now for this one, it's the exact same thing. So this one measures 5.5 by this one measures 5.5 by 3.5. And like I said, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna line it up on top of my paper, of my flap. And I'm gonna make sure I have my 3 even black across the 3 sides. And I'm gonna make my marks. Right there, and then one in the middle. And I'm again just going to trim that up. And this is just, to me, it's the easiest way. Yes, you can measure and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes these things get wonky and it's so frustrating when it doesn't come out right and you're wasting your paper. So this is simply how I would do it for the best results. So I'm just gonna glue that on. Okay guys, I'm gonna throw on the decorating process video. I hope you enjoy and I will see you at the end. so we're gonna go ahead and add our closure. So I am just placing some tape here on the front and back. Kind of trying to get it in the same spot. Roughly. All right, and then we are going to add some seam binding for the closure. So I've just got some like ivory off-white kind of seam binding here. So I'm going to place this right about there. And then turn it around, and I'm going to give myself a bit because you guys know I like the fluffier bows. And put that there. And then we'll just trim this off. Okay, and then we'll put our cute little panel on the front. Oh, that looks so cute. All right, I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac because we're adding it onto the bow, and then I'll just use it for the rest as well. Get that on the front here. Make sure we're going the right way. All right, and then that can go here, and I'll just kind of press it down just like that. Okay guys, let's talk inserts for a second here. So for these front inside pockets, well, the little faux envelope boxes, I just have two 5.5 by 5.5 inserts, and I just used gold cardstock for all of the back of all my mats, and then white for the front. So the gold layer is 5.5 by 5.5, and then the white is 5.25 by 5.25, but honestly, you could fit a ton more in here. This is just what I'm putting for now. And then for these inserts in all of our large pockets, these measure 5 by 4 3/4, and then the layer is 4 3/4 by 4.5. And I actually really like the gold cardstock for matting because it slides really nicely in and out. It's kind of nice. So again, same thing here. This one is 5 by 4 3/4, the insert. And then for our little tags, these measure 4 by 2.5. And then the layer measures 3 3/4 by 2 1/4. And then I just used the little angle punch from We Are Memory Keepers for that. And then that just goes back here. And this is again the same size, 5 by 4 3/4. As well as this one and this one, and then these are the same as well, the little tags. And then same thing back here, just a 5.5 by 5.5 photo mat. So super cute. I absolutely love it. This is where the tutorial is going to end. I did mat the back and the spine, but you guys got through this whole thing with me, so you should be ready to do this start to finish. I am still going to do a walkthrough video so you guys can see it all in one place, and I'll link that below. I'll also have the cut list below from this album. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like this one. I love how much room there still is in here. Like you can see, there's still a ton to add more inserts, all your Easter photos, spring photos, anything like that. So I really love it, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.